India has the third highest number of billionaires in the world, only behind US and China. But all we hear about is Mukesh Ambani, Gautam Adani and few others. What if we examine all of India's billionaires collectively, trying to understand what do they do and how have they earned their billions?
He is India's richest individual and the world's third richest man.
And Elon Musk has done it again. He's the richest person in the world.
By analyzing India's billionaires, we can help answer three important questions. Are there any sectors that have performed exceptionally well compared to others? And if so, why? Are there common patterns amongst the country's wealthiest individual? And also what it means for India as a whole. For those unfamiliar, a billionaire is someone who is worth $1 billion US or approximately 8,300 crores. And it is a term used globally to signify individuals who are the best at creating fortunes. It is very similar to our obsession with sports players. Except in this case, the game being played involves money. The data used for this video comes from a real-time list maintained by Forbes, which uses specific criteria to determine who qualifies as a billionaire. There are approximately 2,600 billionaires in the world. The US leads with 765 billionaires, followed by China with 495, and India comes in third with 169 billionaires. So why not just analyze the biggest companies in the world? Why do we need to hear about the billionaires? Wouldn't that yield the same result? The simple answer is no, which is what makes this whole video interesting. Creating shareholder value and amassing personal wealth don't always go hand in hand. In other words, numerous companies are worth billions, but their founders are not billionaires. Therefore, studying those who have managed to create incredible personal fortune as well as create incredible shareholder value leads us to some intriguing conclusions. So without further ado, let's get started. After looking at 170 of these individuals, one thing becomes immediately apparent. The power law is in effect here. A small percentage accounts for the majority of the wealth. When you add up the net worth of all these individuals, it totals to about $670 billion. Now, if we aggregate the wealth of the top 10%, which is about 17 individuals, they are collectively worth $330 billion, representing about 50% of the overall pool. In other words, the wealthiest 10% account for 50% of the total wealth. To give you a comparison, the average wealth of the top 10% of billionaires is about $17 billion, whereas the average wealth of the entire group as a whole is $2 billion. Talk about feeling poor being worth $1 billion. The top 10% club includes the usual suspects like Mukesh Ambani, Gautam Adani, Cyrus Poonawalla, Lakshmi Mittal and others. So what are the commonalities that I found studying these top 10%? Many have amassed their wealth by exporting goods or services, such as in the pharma sector or the software sector, or for that example, steel as well. And the principle that money creates more money holds very true. Most of them have seen an incredible increase in net worth due to economies of scale and the recent global macroeconomics. And lastly, the majority of them come from family-run companies. Now, if you look at all of these individuals as a whole, the average wealth, as I mentioned earlier, is about 2.2 billion. Interestingly, the majority of billionaires are from Mumbai and Delhi, with Mumbai taking the top spot, followed by Delhi. One more question that I wanted to find an answer to is like how many of them have inherited their wealth versus built it themselves. The main reason I wanted to know this is to answer a very personal question, like whether it is actually possible to build such a colossal fortune in one lifetime, a feat achieved by fewer than 0.03% of the people in the entire world. Now, finding the answer isn't as straightforward as you might think. Because for one, many people inherit companies but transform them significantly. For instance, when Azim Premji took over Wipro, its main business was in consumer goods and oil. But if you look at it right now, it is into software services. After analyzing about 150 billionaires, I estimate that approximately 70 of them are self-made. That's an impressive 40%, meaning they themselves have created the company or product that have earned them the billions. This finding is not only good, but also inspiring because it demonstrates that such success is attainable. I anticipate that the split between inherited and self-made wealth will balance out with each passing year, reflecting a world increasingly become more meritocratic. One more question that I wanted to answer was how many billionaires have made their wealth through the internet over the last decade? The answer is just 5 individuals. Nitin and Nikhil Kamath from Zerodha, Binny and Sachin Bansal from Flipkart, and Falguni Nair from Nykaa. However, this list is based on publicly listed companies and other conditions, which means it omits a number of potential future internet billionaires whose companies are not yet listed, such as Razorpay or Byju's for that matter. I have a strong feeling that the list will look considerably different in the 10 years from now, with many more new age internet companies making their mark. Now let's shift gear and try to understand which sectors have performed really well. If you look at this chart, it clearly shows that the pharma and consumer good industry has far surpassed the rest of the group, with more than 20 billionaires in each of these groups. If you combine pharmaceuticals and healthcare together, as they have quite a bit of overlap, the total exceeds 30 billionaires. Meanwhile, the software, financial services, e-commerce and automotive sectors are climbing quickly as the country continues to grow. Now let's delve deeper to understand why the top sectors have performed so well. Let's start by looking at pharmaceutical industry. India has a significant position in the global pharma sector. It's the largest provider of generic drugs globally and supplies over 50% of global demand for various vaccines. This success stems from several factors, including cost effectiveness, considerable local demand, and ease of government regulation, both in starting a company and in supporting generic drug companies. These factors have made India a perfect hub for being the top exporter of drugs worldwide. Moreover, pharmaceuticals being a high gross margin business means companies don't need a lot of cash to operate, which has resulted in an increased number of billionaires being created from this category. Notable companies in this category include Sun Pharma, Dr. Reddy Labs, Cipla, Serum Institute, and so many others. Now, if you look at consumer goods sector, this is a very intriguing list, as it gives an idea of how sizable these companies actually are. For instance, Ravi Jaipuria runs the biggest PepsiCo bottler outside the US and the largest franchise of Yum brands in India. Others like Acharya Balakrishna of Patanjali fame is also here. 2 members of Burr family, 4 members of Godrej family, Rafiq Malik, founder of Metro Shoes, and Hari Krishna Agarwal, founder of Campus Shoes, have amassed significant wealth in this sector. The reason for this sector success is pretty straightforward. India has a vast population with equally vast demand for consumer goods, propelled by a growing economy, which results in increased income and subsequent increased spending capacity. And I also feel that this is one of the most competitive category to become and maintain your billions, as things keep evolving and competition keeps bubbling, which keeps you on your toes. Now, when it comes to automotive sector, for large countries, this is one of the most critical sectors because it provides employment and signifies overall prosperity of the country. India has a thriving automotive sector that has resulted in about 13 billionaires. Its growth can be mainly attributed to large domestic market, which further enhances economies of scale, making production cheaper. Combine that with availability of cheap labor and government support by creating special economic zones and assisting companies to set up factories, which results in a very fast growing sector. In my opinion, another significant reason for its growth is the presence of component manufacturers, which creates a complete ecosystem of companies that support automobile sector as a whole. Notable companies in the sector include Bajaj Auto, Hero Group, TVS, and Kinetic Engineering. The real estate sector is one of the most globally recognized sectors in India. Key drivers for its growth include rapid urbanization and increasing demand for housing to accommodate India's large and growing population, and also the fact that real estate has traditionally been a favorable investment class in India, with a significant amount of wealth of people tied up in properties. Notable companies in this sector include Raheja, DLF, Oberoi, Phoenix Mills, Shapoorji Pallonji, and so many others. And finally comes the financial services sector. This sector includes everything from insurance to banks to fintech companies, and is likely to witness a rapid growth in the next decade. The main reason for its success is because of the rapid push both by the government and private institution towards increasing financial inclusion in India, resulting in a significant increase in the number of people utilizing financial services. And also the fact that India's growing middle class is investing more in financial products and becoming more willing to avail themselves of credit, leading to a rise in demand for diverse financial services. And finally, the rise of digital platforms and fintechs have revolutionized the financial sector. With government programs such as UPI, Aadhaar, it has created a cashless ecosystem as a whole. Notable companies in this list include Muthoot Finance, Zerodha, Kotak Bank, and AU Financial Bank. Now, if we try to answer the last question, what can we learn if we compare India with other developed countries such as US and China or the developing countries? In many of the developed countries, tech and finance often tops the list. In contrast, sectors like pharma, consumer goods have performed really well in India. In the US, technology and finance and investment sectors have traditionally created many billionaires. think Silicon Valley for tech, and Wall Street for finance. And on the contrary, in China, the leading sector includes technology, real estate, and manufacturing. The prominence of manufacturing echoes China's position as a global manufacturing hub as well. However, India's economic structure isn't quite like other developing nations as well, where wealth often concentrates in sectors benefiting from natural resources, basic industries, and domestic consumption, such as mining, agriculture, basic good manufacturing, construction, and real estate. By studying India's list of billionaires, it indicates a transition from this stage. While traditional sectors like consumer goods and automotive are still prominent, there's a significant presence of sectors like pharma, technology, and financial services. It signifies a more diverse and advanced economy than a developing nation. From this comparison, what I infer is basically India is in an intermediate stage, transitioning from a developing to a developed economy, for instance. It possesses a robust traditional industry and is gradually advancing in more modern sectors. Now, I would like to end it on some fun facts, or hidden gems as I would like to call them. There are 4 people from Muthoot Finance on the list, a company that often flies under the radar. AU Small Financial Bank, which was started in 1997, has an impressive growth and also has made its founder a billionaire. Similarly, Pidilite Industry, known for their famous products Fevicol, has produced 4 billionaires. Same is the case for Infosys as well. Obviously, I haven't covered everything. A complete deep dive into different industries or studying individual companies deem a different video of its own. However, if you have any burning questions about the so-called Indian Billionaire Club, please drop them in the comments below and we'll explore them in the future videos. If you have watched it till this far and haven't liked and subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Don't make me come after you. See you in the next one. Bye bye. Take care.